Good morning, Jim Sunderwirth here. Hey, we're talking about the priesthood in Leviticus, and we're talking about the fact that God wanted it done a specific way, so he set the priesthood up through the Levites, and as they did that, they were to do one thing: teach them how to worship, teach them how to have fellowship with God. God was going to be very specific, and in fact, He said, "I'm going to be so specific. If you don't do it exactly like I tell you to do, it could be curtains." And we found out that Nadab and Abihu, there were curtains for them because they brought strange fire into the holy place. So we understand that you can't do it your way. It's got to be God's way, and God's way is Jesus. Now, as we think about it, the priests, they were required no alcohol while on duty. They said they were to no alcohol whatsoever, and they were to distinguish between the clean and the unclean, and that's going to be moral situations, it's going to be eating situations, that's going to be cleansing situations. They are the ones that they were the officers that went out there and said, this is clean, this is unclean, this is right, this is wrong. That's what they were supposed to do, and then they were supposed to teach the people. And it basically parallels with us today, that we're supposed to be completely in control at all times as ministers, and that we are also to know what's right and what's wrong, and be the difference, and be able to share why the good thing and the right things God would require for our best, and then also to teach. Ephesians 4, it says these words: He gave to them apostles and prophets and evangelists and pastors and teachers for the equipping of the saints. So today, as priests and as ministers, we are to equip the saints for the work of the ministry in each of our lives. So it's an amazing thing to realize how important it was. Now, in chapter 11 of Leviticus, it talks about the clean and the uncleanliness of food, and that you couldn't eat anything that didn't have a split hoof or chew the cud. We could get on in all that, but they were very specific what kind of food you had to eat. They were very specific about cleanliness, and how that you're to wash your hands. And Leviticus, I'm telling you, Leviticus is filled with wisdom for health. It taught us what to eat, how to prepare to eat. It talked about unlawful, immoral sexual relationships, and how that you should abstain from different things to stop different responses and consequences. And it told us not to defile ourselves in that area. And you can read all about that in chapter 18. And it goes all about how that we are to control ourselves, what we're to eat, how we're to go through life. And it's very marvelous, and they did it to the nth degree. In fact, they became very legalistic with it. In fact, they carried it a little bit too far. So what I want us to do today, for just a moment, I want us to go to Mark, the 7th chapter. Mark, the 7th chapter, and we're going to talk about the greater issue. Now remember, all these parallel with the New Testament and parallel with Jesus. You just got to look for it a little bit. But we find it in Mark, the 7th chapter. The Pharisees and some of the scribes came together to him, having come to Jerusalem. And when they saw his disciples ate bread, they didn't wash their hands, and they were defiled, and they found fault. Pharisees found fault. And they said, the Pharisees and the scribe asked him, why do your disciples not walk according to the traditions of the elders and eat bread with unwashed hands? And Jesus said, well, did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites as he wrote, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Now Jesus goes to a deeper level. He says it's that law was back there to protect the people while they're in the wilderness, give them wisdom. But he said there's a deeper issue here. It's the issue of the heart. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines commandments of men. For laying aside the commandments of God, you hold the traditions of men, washing the pitcher and the cup, and many other such things you do. And he said, all too well you reject the commandments of God, that you should keep these traditions. For Moses honored your father and honor your father and your mother, and you cursed father and mother and let them be put to death. In other words, they didn't honor their mother and their father. They used them for their own what they wanted, what they needed, and they had the outside of the cup was perfect, but the inside heart the heart of the issue. And Jesus told his disciples later, he said, look, it's not what goes in the body that goes into the body, into the stomach and out, but he says it's what's in the heart that counts. Jesus talks about the heart, and Ezekiel 26:36 says, he says, I want to give you a brand new heart, a heart saying, Lord, today I want to serve you. It's not what I do on the outside, it's how I feel on the inside, how I love you from the inside out. That's the most important thing. It's not the traditions of men and the rudiments of the world, but it's Christ. Loving him, serving him out of an attitude of thanksgiving, loving and taking care of people out of the heart. That's the issue. Where's your heart today? The core of your life is to say, I want to honor Jesus with my life. Wow. Well, that went by fast. God bless you. And remember, he loves you. He's got a purpose, plan. He's got the best.